Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread! Cornbread! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, what's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday. I am your host, Derek Oker, here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, where we serve up that Honolulu blue flavored Kool-Aid twice a week.
Drink it in, man.
Oh, it tastes so good. And I'm back here, and he's a friend of the show. He's just a huge star on the Bleav podcasting network. Bleav in Betting Chicago. He's putting out videos, doing tons of interviews. I see him all over the multimedia spaces on the Instagram. You know, I don't know that he's all over Twitter, but he's just everywhere. And this guy's a rising star, one of the great friends of the show. I love talking sports with him. Or is he the enemy? Because he's actually a Bears guy. He's coming on the Koolaid Cast once again. Oh, man, we're going to have some fun this week. Joey Christopoulos. How you doing this week, man?
Derek, my friend, we are back. We are here to drink the Kool-Aid. We've been in the lab with a pen and a pad all off season, but man, August is right around the corner, which means football is back, baby, and the NFC North. There's a lot to talk about, man. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming back. We are going to talk NFC North Roundup. The last couple times you came on, we talked fantasy football. We put Justin Fields on trial. We had fun with that. I think we got after each other about our teams, which we like to do on multiple shows, but we thought it was time. Training camp, all the players heading to the facilities. We're going to have normal football back this year, so we thought we'd just jump into the division, talk about it, have a bunch of fun with that. But Joey, here's something I got for you. Before we get into that, I'm not this guy that likes to come on the pod and ask you how your job's going, how's the weather out there where you live, hey, is a hot dog a sandwich? I don't do these type of questions here on the pod, but I've got a little oddball that I did want to throw at you today. So my first question is, were you ever a hooper in your day? Did you ever play ball? Do you got any game? Can you cross it over? Can you shoot from distance? Were you a basketball player as instead of just all football and other sports like you are now?
Well, I'm going to tell you something here, Derek, right now. Back in a little white suburban place called Winnetka, Illinois, in middle school, man, oh man, did the 8th graders hate me, because when I was in 6th grade, not only did I make the varsity team, but I was named the starter. I had a spot. I could hit that corner J. I won the free throw percentage title. And look, you haven't met me before. I'm 6'1", so you're like, okay, maybe a little bit of length, but I'm Greek, and I got that Midwest. I got a little bit of that Midwest tire, and that's kind of around my waist, and that's kind of dogged me my whole life, which basically means that I know the game. I'm crafty. I'm smart out there in the court, but I just never had the physical skills to really translate to any other higher levels outside of junior high. I still love playing. I love watching hoops. And I haven't played probably in about 4 or 5 years. And if I got out there right now, I could give you 3 hot minutes, and then you'd have to yank me. Does that qualify?
Oh, I absolutely love it. Everybody, I had no idea. I'm just I'm going to throw this at Joey because I think for some reason that he can ball. And the way that you just broke down your bio, I just got one audio drop for that.
Oh, baby.
So you laid it out. I came from the inner city streets of Dayton, Ohio in my heyday, where I was crossing up fools, dropping you down. We used to play street versus street, where we'd show up to your street with 3 or 4 of us and just get after you on the ball court. But the reason I bring this up, Joey, is before we get into NFC North football, I thought this would just be a fun. I'm like, I got to hear what Joey's take is if he's a ball player. If he wouldn't have been a basketball phenom, like you said, I wouldn't bother you with this. But let's spend 2 minutes on this. So I just saw this on the old Twitter machine. Joey, you get one shot. A layup is going to win you $50K. A free throw, $100K. Or are you going to step out to the top of the key for $500 Hold on, there's more. You could pull up from the wing 3 for $750,000, or are you going to straight up go old man, some of these NBA shooters and head over to the corner and try that corner 3 for a cool mill? I can't wait to hear your answer.
And you only get one shot. Let's be fair to the listeners. Only one shot, right, Derek?
One shot. That's all you got.
I have to be honest with you, and this is very much in line with people that enjoy astrology. I'm a Capricorn. I'm practical. I'm shooting the free throw, man. It's the thing that I can bank on. And you're telling me I get $100K, the layup $50K, great. After taxes, hooray! That's a year's worth of pay. Nothing to be ashamed of. But let's be honest here. You do want to add a little bit of risk while also add a little bit of certainty. I'm shooting the free throw for $100K. And, man, the things that I could do with that, you could put a down payment on a house. You could do all sorts of things. You can get season tickets to the Lions or the Chicago Bears. Where are you going? Are you going corner 3? Are you going for the whole enchilada? I'm dying. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I often I say I like your takes, and except when they're about the Chicago Bears, but I don't know about the free throw. You're only doubling your money, yet you're stepping back. I mean, I would love to know the Joey percentages back in your heyday, but I mean, if I'm making this decision, I mean, I was basically a guy that could dish, do a fancy move here and again, or launch from distance. So I'm probably heading over to the wing. I mean, that's going to get me 750. So I like the exponential movement from 50 to 100. I'm going to go from 100 all the way to the 750 and see if I can't knock that puppy down. From the wing, I can go off window. I could just absolutely catch net like I usually do. I mean, I like my chances there. Wing 3 all day, every day.
Well, I like where you're going with that because you're trying to play to your strengths. And the only reason why I'm also saying free throw is not because I'm scared, but actually I shot hoops in a guy's backyard a couple weeks ago. He also owned a DeLorean, but that's a story for another time. But I was shooting hoops in the back there. And look, man, like my jump shot, my jumper, true jumper, was really always kind of built for 15 to 18 feet. And I'll be honest, even in high school, going back to that top of the key thing, I had to change my jumper just to try and get that oomph to kind of get it there. I mean, I guess the other question would be, how long do I get to practice said shot? Because maybe if you told me I got like 2 weeks where I can get like 500 J's up a day, no joke, maybe I'd join you on that wing. But for right now, I got a great free throw routine. I can still knock him down. I beat that dude's butt and horse and pig in his own backyard. He sent me home. He was crying. I was happy. I got to stick with the free throw. $100K, give it to me. Easy.
Joey, do you know the people out there, like, are you going to start talking Yes, we are. But, like, me and you could do a good hour episode on this alone. This and hoops, because so many good things there to talk about. But, yeah, I love your answer, man. I knew it would be entertaining. Cade Cunningham coming to the D, of course. I did want to sneak that in. I can't wait. My Pistons are back. Joey, my Red Wings are back. And guess who else is back? My Detroit Lions. So we're going to skip past the part about you playing pig and horse, which are 2 games that I could dominate you in, no doubt about it. I don't know why you're playing Marty McFly over there with the DeLorean, but that's for another day. We have got to get to the NFC North roundup. So, I mean, hopefully me and you can make this shot and then we don't have to podcast or do anything. We can go hang out on an island or whatever. But, like, NFC North, Where do you want to go first? You probably have a topic up your sleeve. I know I usually throw the questions at you. You probably got something that's like got your blood boiling here in the division. So maybe I'll throw it to you if you got something off top.
Well, Derek, we're recording this on a Monday early evening, Midwest East Coast time, and we got to go with the story of the day, man. I mean, look,
oh boy,
after a long, hard struggle of the offseason, Derek, I mean, we were all just waiting with bated breath, like outside of the Vatican, waiting to see who the new pope is and for that flame to finally be lit. And that flame was lit today, Derek. And God, it was lit green because Aaron Rodgers, oh, thank goodness, is coming back to Green Bay. Oh, the drama. It's over. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, look, we've been all over this, right? At least on my guest appearances in the previous pods that I've done with you, Derek. We all thought that he was coming back. He is coming back. The contract's going to be restructured. I guess good news for the NFC North is it looks like it's kind of a one and done with him and Devontae Adams. Looks like they're both going to walk after next year, which is great news for us, two franchises that are trying to start a new window of opportunity and success. But just, your take on Aaron Rodgers, and more importantly, what's your take on this whole specter, this whole carnival that's happened all off season? Do you think this is going to help and galvanize the locker room? Do you think this can actually hurt Green Bay, a really talented team that probably doesn't need this distraction?
Joey, I mean, this is why you're a professional. This is why you're one of the fastest risers in the game, because I thought you'd go here, and you teed me up beautifully, because I have been known to do legendary rants on the smug, pompous, arrogant number 12 over there in Green Bay. But here's what I'm here to tell you. As much as I never wanted to see him again, as much as I would have shipped him out, he can't even go priority or FedEx. He had to go first class mail to wherever he's heading, slow, just put him in a box that gets all crumpled and just send him on one of those big trucks. But here's my spin on it. I love this news, and here's why. Because now the Packers are going to probably pay him more money. He's going to come back, try to make this last dance, as they're calling it. And most times when that happens, a lot of people are on their side, and it goes around all the different, everybody knows it's probably the last time you see him in the uniform. I'm here to tell you, nobody outside of Wisconsin cares whatsoever about the Green Bay Packers. So he's going to go around to all these stadiums, and I just want everybody to just boo this guy out of the building. Let him know how much he's hated for the way he's drugged this along, for such a baby that this guy has been. And here's the good news, Joey, for me and for your team, because the Packers are going to redo this deal. He's going to play. He's probably going to blow out his collarbone or ACL, whatever he usually gets hurt these days, because he's made out of paper mache. He's been sitting there doing yoga or hanging out in Hawaii or whatever this guy does. I mean, this guy's not ready to play ball. He's probably going to get hurt. The team's probably going to flop. And then what's going to happen? He is going to be able to walk out of his contract, go sign with some team, try to be Tom Brady. Everybody knows he's not Tom Brady. And then the Packers are going to get squadoosh for him. Absolutely nothing. They're just going to walk, ain't going to get any draft picks. Nothing's going to happen. This guy's going to ride off into the sunset, and the Packers are going to be sitting there trying to do a rebuild while me and your teams are doing work out there. That's what's going to happen. I love this. Smug Aaron Rodgers, welcome back. I'm so happy you're here, and I still hate you.
And you're bringing up a really interesting point in terms of what the Packers are going to have to try and do from a business side about recouping whatever talent or value that they're going to have from Aaron Rodgers. So what Adam Schefter reported this afternoon was, in theory, they're going to be able to trade him in the offseason. But I think maybe one of the stories that we're going to have to keep an eye on, and look, he's a Sith Lord. He sits at the altar of Palpatine, and he studies the dark arts, whatever fantasy film or reference you want to put out there. So this probably won't happen, but I'm really curious to see. Let's just play in a world where the Packers come out and maybe, they lose a guy on the offensive line, maybe a Bakhtiari, maybe things don't necessarily go their way right off the bat. Could you see a scenario where the Packers are 2-4, or even, I don't know, 1-3 is a little much, but 2-4, and Rodgers just goes to them and says, I want out. And the Packers say to themselves, look, we can recoup this value right now because we don't know who said quarterback is either going to falter and or be hurt. Cough, cough. Maybe Matt Stafford, cough, cough, with the Los Angeles Rams. And could there be a scenario where he doesn't even finish the season with Green Bay. I know that's crazy. I know I'm just speculating, but that scenario is now kind of on the table a little bit. Now, of course, if we know, the dark magic that they run up there in Green Bay, they're probably going to go 12-5 and be a team. But I don't know. As a Packers fan, how do you even feel about this? Can you cheer for Aaron Rodgers in this final season? How do you not have angst towards maybe perhaps your favorite player that you've been watching the last 16, 17 years? Can you really just like pat him on the back and throw flowers at his feet as he walks out the door? It's such a weird situation, and I'm just curious to see whether it's going to galvanize the locker room or if it's just the distraction that kind of really holds a talented team back one more time. As we know, how many NFC championships have they lost? He's only got one Super Bowl. He's 39 years old. I mean, their whole focus should be on winning a Super Bowl and taking care of a division that, I will be honest, as a Bears fan, is very easily had for this one more season. And look, and they're dealing with all that crap, man. I just don't know how it's going to play out. And obviously, he's coming back, and we're going to have to deal with him 2 more times.
Now, Joey, you're killing me here on the show. First of all, we can't spend much more time on this petulant child up there in mozzarella land. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I did a huge rant there to entertain the people and bring strong takes and actually come after them. And then you went straight up reporter on me and just brought the facts and went into 8 other questions. I mean, I thought you were going to follow me up with a Bear style rant on this jabron.
No, I'm over it with him. Every time I open up my yap about Rodgers, he comes back and just jams it down my throat, and then you see it come out my butt 2 days later, dude. I can't anymore with him. He's a great player. He's my least favorite athlete in all of sports. I'll at least say it like that. And I agree with you. He's smug. I find it so hilarious that he has this quote unquote personality when he talks to people and he says things that are like, that seem really deep, but they're actually really obvious. Of good quotes like, not a lot of people talk about mental health. And it's like, oh, okay, thank you, Magellan, for finding the first time that you're ever going to talk about mental health ever. And I don't know, he just always feels like he's the smarter dude in the room. And I can't wait for him to leave town. I hate rooting against him. And I'm almost kind of excited because this is one last shot at the king, right? We get in the ring, and now we get the boxing gloves on, and let's just see if we can knock him out one more time or just take our lumps and then move on.
There's no doubt. All the Detroit Koolaid drinkers are out there tweeting out him getting slammed into the turf by Romeo Quara and him laying on the ground, moping to the referees. I mean, the memes are outstanding. So, like you say, we won't spend too much time. I mean, to answer your questions a little bit, I doubt he gets dealt mid-year. Your thing about, it's a 2-year deal with a void. I mean, to me, those are all the details, but are a lot of people just giving out huge draft capital for basically a 40-year-old, frail, guy at the back half? Now was the time to get 2 to 3 first-round picks for the guy. And instead, you're just going all in that you're going to make this magical carpet run. I mean, I don't know what they did to up their team very much. You pretty much got the same team that even if they have a good regular season, we all know what happens. They get just trounced in the playoffs. And like you said, this guy has 1 Super Bowl. He's had a couple runs here and there, but this is no, majestic career. It's a bunch of, talk about Matt Stafford with stats. Wow, Aaron Rodgers pops up with stats, or he puts up a good season, and then he falls off the map and he puts up a good, grade. He's up and down. I don't know. To me, I'm just so happy because I just kind of rethought it. And I'm like, as annoying as he is, this is great for our teams because as soon as the Packers are heading down is right when we'll be heading right up. So the tables are turning, my friend. Let's put it that way. Let's move to better topics unless you got a strong take that you want to get back in there on this guy.
My final thought is that I also read a rumor that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to start listening to Aaron Rodgers' requests, which I'm just dying to find out what those are all about. And one of them was he wants Randall Cobb back on the team. And I thought that was so funny. I literally laughed out loud. And somewhere right now, Jermichael Finley's turning on his phone, and a young family is looking out a window, and a son is going to his dad and being like, "Daddy, there's a man sprinting up and down the street and vomiting, and he's clutching his heart, and he's just keeps sprinting in our yard." And he goes, "That's Eddie Lacy, son. That's Eddie Lacy." They're all coming back for one last ride. with the 39. Yeah, like you said, the soon-to-be 40-year-old man. But look, yeah, enough Packers talk, man. I'm with you, man. Time to move on to bigger, brighter, wider, greener pastures. And I don't mean Green Bay green. I mean actual winning football with our particular franchises and the Who Cares Vikings. Who cares about the Vikings?
I like the much more humorous, strong, opinionated Joey than Adam Schefter Joey. So, very, very strong close by you there on that guy that we shall not speak of anymore. All right, let's go to this. We brought it up multiple times. I might as well just get into it now. I'll just pitch to you on the quarterback sitch in Detroit. I think I saw some picture of Andrew Dalton with a beard and a big old head of red hair. I don't know if he's going by Andrew now, but that's what the caption was, with Andy being his former self. I mean, how's that going over there for you with Andrew Dalton and your boy, Justin Fields?
Oh, it's been a rock and roll summer with Dalton. I don't know if you also saw it, but on Instagram, he recently just played an acoustic show at a bar in Vail, Colorado. And yes, that's right. We have a rock and roller at quarterback now for the first time ever. And, fake set list. I was already thinking he was playing like Wagon Wheel. Natalie Cole's Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Fitting in a little Ed Sheeran, a little Tonic, If You Could Only See. I'll be honest with you, and this is this is August, right, man? This is a month away. We haven't watched any football. I do enjoy the concept that Andy Dalton is a good person. I do enjoy the concept that, and I brought this analogy out on the pod a whole lot, Andy Dalton is like watching the opening band at a concert. You go there, and you get to your seats, and you realize that you're a little early, and the opening band comes on, and you're like, I don't care about this band. I just want to see the headliner. But you go, you know what? Let's listen to a couple songs. Let's hear a couple songs. I can leave whenever I want. I can go get a cocktail. I can go to the bathroom. I can walk around. I can get a corn dog. Don't care about the opener. I'm here for the headliner. And that's just kind of what it feels like with Andy Dalton in camp. And look, I think week one, Bears-Rams, which I'm going to. I'm going to that game, which I'm very excited about. It could be a bloodbath. I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to cancel the season. I'm not going to pack it in if week one doesn't go exactly our way. But if Andy Dalton can just kind of hold down the ship for 2 or 3 weeks, we can actually get to the real band, the headliner, the actual movie. Enough of watching the trailers. Let's get to the real movie. And I think Andy Dalton's going to do it professionally. If he can win us a game or two, great. If he doesn't, I'm not going to be shocked. You know what I mean? And it's an interesting, really freeing place. And I'm curious because the Lions are kind of in that place too as well. It just kind of feels, don't you feel a little free? Like I just don't feel a lot of pressure as a Bears fan. We're not winning the Super Bowl. If we make the playoffs, I'll be elated and surprised. But otherwise, you just want to see progress. And I think the Bears and Lions kind of sort of share that similarity heading into camp this year.
Well, Mr. Joseph Christopoulos, I like what you did there. You started out with a odd take about how Andrew Dalton is now a guitar playing fool, and then you wrapped it up
into always and forever. He's rockabye. He's doing it all, dude. Train, Soul Sister, whatever you want. Throw $1 in the case, he will play it.
I did not know this, but then you wrapped it up into a nice analogy about him being the starter band that no one gives a damn about, and that you kind of intimated that your boy Fields is the headliner, the main event, the guy that you pay tickets, high price tickets to go see. So I like what you did there, but you also said we're not winning the Super Bowl right now, my friend. It's the end of July, early August. I mean, Lions fans, Detroit Koolaid drinkers, baby, this is our year.
Drink it in, man.
We're talking W Super Bowls every year, right about this time. There's no question. But you teed me up into something. I gave you that. I'm not gonna hint on your QB stuff. You kind of led me into that. We're feeling good, or we're kind of loosey goosey. We don't have to worry. You want to know something we're not loosey goosey about? Let's do this before the break, Joey. You want to ask me about a certain former receiver for the Detroit Lions that's been in the news, maybe a guy that might be heading to the Hall of Fame. Do you want to tee up that question for me so I can do a little work here?
I mean, are we talking about a man part machine? Are we talking about A Calvin Johnson? Is that who we're referring to?
That is Joey, and there's no other tee up that's needed. I've crushed this man on this show so many times. I mean, people, love me for it. They hate me for it. They're just like, oh man, we're sick of this. You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of Calvin Johnson, the guy that the Detroit Lions paid hundreds of millions of dollars to, whine and cry, kind of act like number 12 over there in, Gouda Cheeseville. He just pouring over spilled milk about like a couple $1,000,000 and how he's not going to do this and he has nothing to say about the Lions and blah, blah. It just never ends with this guy. And like, here's my thing. When the Detroit Lions took this guy, he was a physical beast. I was like, man, who runs like a 4.2 with someone else's shoes on? That's crazy. But I was never the biggest guy on getting all these wide receivers. So he comes in here, kind of has some slow years. Then he has some big old years, and I'm always just like, just throw it up to him, right? But then he never practices. Oh, my fingers hurt. My legs are a little sore. I can't really work hard. Yet he's still getting huge paychecks. Then he quits on the team, his teammates, the organization, everybody. And instead of riding off into the sunset like Burry did, this guy has continued to kill the Detroit Lions for every little thing, acting like he can't get a meal these days because of what they did to him. He forgets that those zeros never end in his bank account because of the Detroit Lions. He would be nothing without the Detroit Lions and what they did for him and the star that they made him here in this city. So, I will not be attending Canton. You would never find me there. I have no gear with that number 81 on it. And everybody in Detroit here, even the people that love the man named Calvin Johnson, are just like, can we stop already? We've had enough. We've had enough of this stuff. So that's my mini rant. Everybody knows I've done bigger rants. I went on and on. I don't know why I got to bring this up every month or so, but there it is. Joey, I'm done. Most of Detroit is done. We don't care if you bring us up in your thing. We don't care if you're back in the fold. It is what it is at this point. The Lions haven't said anything. You continue to talk. Let's just put this to bed and be done with this.
Well, I have to ask you, this is just from an outsider, so I want you have the inside perspective on this. What is your theory on two of the greatest offensive players in your franchise history retiring at 30? What? I know that they're two different cases. I get all that and stuff, but I mean, there are a couple of, I think from the outsider perspective, a couple of similarities, I guess. What is that to you? Barry and Calvin. Why do you think that is? Or is it just a coincidence?
Joey, you're trying to get me upset here. I've had some pretty strong opinions. What would you rate my rant so far? Pretty high up there?
I mean, I'm shocked, dude. I'm shocked that I had no idea that you disliked Calvin Johnson. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was a steal of a pick in his rookie season from a fantasy perspective. I thought he was completely unguardable. I was trying to wrap my head around it at the time. I mean, he was dealing, like you said, a lot of injuries towards the tail end there. And I don't know if it was a different era, but the Lions really weren't exactly going places at the time when he retired. Or I guess maybe you could push back and say that the Lions were going places, but he bailed right before, the Jim Caldwell era kind of went down. I'm just surprised that you have no happy memories with Megatron. That's crazy to me.
I thought you might be surprised. What you need to do, Joey, I know you've been a great friend of the show. You're on a lot, but you're a busy man. You need to go back in those archives because the dedicated Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers know that I've lit this guy up plenty of times, and like I just get more and more sick of it. It's like I would just respect it. I think it was a while ago that he finally seemed to tip his cap and just be, more on board, or hey, you're in retirement, great, good for you. I mean, don't worry about that. You just quit on your offensive linemen that are banging their head every day and working their tail off for you. I know it's so hard to run a few routes and maybe fall on the ground a few times. I mean, man, it just must be torturous on your body. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I'll give you my quick take. Barry and Calvin. Barry Sanders, came along and was the best at what he did. He showed up every year and put up crazy numbers. He was, just a legend of what he did on the field. And what did he do? He got sick with the game and sick of losing or whatever. And he, like I said, He retired. He went in his cave. You never heard from him. Hey, good for you, man. You made that decision. Not a big deal. Do I think that he sort of left his team a little high and dry the way he did it? Sure, but you didn't see him popping up every 3 months going like, oh, man, the team did this. They don't like this. All these ridiculous opinions. You didn't see Barry going around wearing Raiders shirts or going around, showing other running backs how they should do things that don't play for his former team. He just classically went out, and now he's back with the organization and has nothing bad to say. But Calvin Johnson obviously didn't do that. And I just didn't respect him towards the back half of his career for never practicing, showing up on game day, making a few plays, and people acting like it's the end-all be-all. I mean, it's a wide receiver, man. They're a dime a dozen to me in the NFL, to be honest. And this guy had special ability. And if you look back at it, he probably had, 2 to 4 really quality years, 2 to 3 injured years, and then like you said, the rookie year where he didn't do much, and then the back half where he was good when he was out there. When he wasn't, he's a decoy. I can't have my decoy make a $20 million. So anyway, it is what it is, man. I teed it up because I did want to kind of light him up again just for entertainment purposes here on the show. And I thought it would catch you off guard because I know you think I just I drink it in and just love everything Lions. But there's a few things that I've been known to get after here on the show, even if it's my own team. And he's one of them.
Well, we're definitely going to have to get the breathalyzer out with the Kool-Aid if we're talking about Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Geronimo Allison, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas. Not to roll it forward or to change the subject, but man, what's your take on the receivers core with your current Lions team?
As you just heard me say, and Joey, this is normally probably 15 minutes ago we should have took a break. How about this for the Kool-Aid drinkers? Just no ads, no commercial, no nothing today. It's just me and you talking. We got more NFC North to talk about. So Joey, here's the thing. I just said you can find receivers any day of the week, twice on Sundays, and that's what Brad Holmes is doing. He's just straight up loading up at other spots, putting skill players, and he says, man, if I get a little speed, if I got enough bodies, we're going to produce at the wide receiver position. So I'm very excited to watch these guys on the outside. You got a couple guys with speed, a couple slot guys, and I've been on record multiple times saying I think they're going to surprise people. I really do. Now, am I talking big-time numbers or, I don't know when it's all said and done. But I feel like every week they're going to be decently competitive with that group. And you're going to notice that most weeks it's not going to be the receivers that cost the Lions ball games or are holding them back. They're going to be more than serviceable, and a lot of weeks you're going to be like, damn, look at Tyrell Williams. Oh, man, Perriman got behind the defense. St. Brown, great find in the 4th round. So I'm high on these receivers, and I'm excited to see them. And I'm not worried about it because I know we're going to add in other ways the next couple of years, and then we're going to have a team and, oh, by the way, some guys that catch the football and not complain and show up in practice, unlike former Lions receivers did.
Who do you think leads the team in receiving this year, if you had to take a guess right now?
Oh, that's a good one. I actually put out an article on USA Today Lions Wire about that, where I did fantasy ADPs for Lions, and I was shocked that Tyrell Williams was the lowest ADP Lion. I feel like he's the guy that I'd pencil in as kind of the de facto number 1. I do feel like the team will focus most on St. Brown because they're most invested in him. And I'm either boom or bust on Brashad Perriman. I think he can either show up big and be a number 1, 2 type guy for this team, or he might not get out of camp. They might be an injury or something where it's just man, we can't keep this guy around. We didn't see enough. And Quintez Cephas is a guy that's going to, come on the scene for this team where people are like, oh, man, nice player. But he's nothing to hang my hat on,
Yeah, Quintez Cephas, I was looking at it the other day. I think he was averaging something like 17 yards per catch last year, which is impressive. He doesn't have, huge numbers, and he flashed a little bit towards the end of the year. I'm really curious to see how they try and scheme him up, because we all know that, Jared Goff, 20 yards and beyond, has been kind of the issue that I think maybe did not justify him getting that contract at the Rams. Probably the reason why he's on the Lions right now. So he's a guy that I'm kind of keeping an eye on to be I kind of liked him towards the end of the year. And I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to be able to scheme him open, whether Goff can be able to get him the ball. In terms of Perriman, man, you're right, dude. I have plenty of Ravens fans who just have had it with that guy. I mean, the dude that maybe flashes, looks really good for a quarter, maybe even looks good for a couple of weeks, but can he be consistent? Can he be a guy that you can count on week in and week out while they try and work some of that inside-out game and try and, give Goff the opportunity to work that play action, because he's really good at play action if you give him that opportunity. It can't just be all DeAndre Swift up the middle and TJ Hawkinson turning around and catching passes. You're going to need that second option there. And, we're going to find out through camp. And maybe you're right, man. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown is that type of guy that can elevate and ascend and maybe get past some of these veteran, I don't even want to call them names, but people that we've heard of before that, maybe we're banking on more in a fantasy perspective than we probably should right now.
There it is, everybody. Again, I hate to keep harping on it. He's a true pro. He brought it back for the Kool-Aid drinkers and served up a side of cornbread for you with talking wide receivers. He got me all fired up about a former receiver. I mean, we're talking Lions here in the middle of the show, no doubt about
Cornbread!
But, Joey, I mean, the people, they got a full glass of Kool-Aid.
Drink it in, man.
But we gotta turn this back because we're talking about the division. So I know people are interested, bouncing around. We talked about your Bears, that team, in green and yellow. I mean, probably the worst color combo you could think of. Let's talk about the guys in purple, because I want to ask you a question. This is a guy we've harped on too on previous shows. What do you think about the Kirk Cousins contract? This guy got like 3 years fully guaranteed. He's made absolutely ridiculous money. I wish I had the thing in front of me. He's on like the Mount Rushmore, I heard, of like guys that have collected money in the NFL based on all his contracts and all those franchise tags he got. Do you think he's heading out sooner than later? Do you think the Vikings will actually repay this guy again? Or is it just like a year or two and then he'll be either out of the league or playing somewhere else? What do you think?
Unless he wins a playoff game, there is a 0% chance he is back in Minnesota next year. Look, it's lazy to say that he's overpaid because athletes and everyone, and it's just so easy to kind of throw out there. But, the contract I bet was going rate. I will just leave it at that when he got signed. Kirk Cousins is like we call him Donnie Brasco, a fugazi, right? I mean, every time if you watch Red Zone, you turn on the TV, you're looking at that Vikings score and you're going, what the hell is going on in that game? It's 6-0 in the third quarter. Kirk Cousins has 80 passing yards. What is going on? They have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, go on with the list. They have Dalvin Cook on the team. He's a guy that just turns it on late. He's a guy that always throws that little extra touchdown when they're down by 10 points to maybe cover the spread, get things a little bit closer. I just don't buy it. I don't buy Kirk Cousins. They have great offensive weapons on that team. I do think that their offensive line is going to be improved. They did get maybe a skosh better defensively after losing so many players last year, but it all comes back down to Kirk Cousins and the quarterback. And the NFC North, man, you know it, I know it. Look at the schedule, dude. We play the AFC North this year. We play the NFC West. I mean, those are really, really tough divisions. I don't think anyone's schedule is exactly the easiest in the galaxy. And when it comes to that and the Vikings, I kind of see the same stuff. 7-10. 7-10, 8-9. That area right there, I think is probably where the Vikings are going to land again. I just don't see a scenario, especially after how great Dalvin Cook has been the last year and a half plus. Where do they improve so markedly that all of a sudden they become a team to be reckoned with? I don't see it. What say you?
Strong opinions. I like that. I heard it all, but we've been known to say this on the Koolaid Cast. A quick follow-up, maybe a piggyback if I could, and that's simply this. Which one is more fugazi? NFL Red Zone with Andrew Siciliano, or with the one and only Hansen there on the NFL Network? Which one is the fugazi out of those two NFL Red Zones?
I feel like we've done this before. I'm a Siciliano guy. I like doing the Red Zone. I like it. He's got a big, deep voice. He's, I've met him before. He's a really, really nice dude, and I just love him talking like this. I'm into it. It gives you the good stuff, and when I do my Red Zone, I'll be honest, I'm a Siciliano man.
Wow, I'm shocked we have not talked about this. I love that you bring up his voice because he is the most strange talking guy. Like his delivery is like no one else. But he comes on Locked On Lions with Matt Derry, and they chop it up. And man, I never laughed so hard than when him and Matt Derry are sharing barbs back and forth, and when Andrew Siciliano has a take. It's always funny, no matter the content, because of the way he serves it up. But I mean, what's my guy's Hansen's first name? I'm trying to remember right now. Do you know?
Chris?
Is it Chris Hansen? I don't think so.
I don't know. No, I think that was actually the
Scott.
Yeah.
Scott Hansen. That is the clear winner, man. This guy loves his job. He's always talking about the quad box. He's doing 18 hours of uninterrupted football. Oh man, I go there every day, and like NFL Red Zone, if you don't have it, people. By the river. This guy has funny gimmicks. He's always hype about everything. And like I said, he just loves his job. But why wouldn't you? The guy watches 18 football games at one time, and he gets paid to do it. And if you don't have NFL Red Zone, people, I mean, that's the only way to watch football on Sundays. No commercials. Don't have to change the channel. Keep up on all your fantasy stuff. Absolutely incredible. So we're split, my friend. You're a Siciliano guy. I like him, but if we're talking what's the better red zone, it's Scott Hansen all day.
And look, we can still break bread together. Isn't this a lesson, America? That we can disagree on some things in life, but not necessarily have to hate each other for it. Look, me and Derek, we're still doing it. We're still making it happen.
Now, we can do that now. We can do that now, but Joey, last time I checked, I think when we chatted earlier this week, I'm going to be fortunate to have you back on the Friday show. And I think Friday is going to be Detroit versus Chicago. I mean, Lions versus Bears. Just us going back and forth, trying to hype our fan bases up about our teams. Am I right? So it's all good now, but it might get a little dicey on Friday.
Is this the calm before the storm? Is this what you're saying?
It might be. Now here, we've been known to do this. We get talking. We could go another however long. If you got a couple things in your bag, how about we do a little rapid fire back and forth? Because I got like 3 other things at least that I want to hear your opinion on. So can we do a little bing, bam, boom, and then get the people out of here on this Wednesday show?
Yeah, dude, fire away.
Joey, can Monty handle the big workload and be the guy? What say you?
Oh, absolutely. He did last year. He won't have to this year. We have Tariq Cohen and a guy named Damian Williams who ran for 120 yards in the Super Bowl. If anybody remembers him, he's on the team too as well. Absolutely can handle the workload. I don't know if he's exactly going to see it, but from a fantasy perspective, you can mark down at least 10 to 14 carries a game.
I thought they want to get him 20. Anyway, what's this Darnell Mooney hype I'm hearing? What is this? Who is this guy?
What is this? Who is this? Did you watch the NFL last year? No, look, this is a guy who, if you look at his numbers, you're not going to be impressed. But he is an analytics. I mean, the analytic people are horny for Darnell Mooney. A big reason why that was if you go back, not only did his route running percentages were excellent last year. I actually got the opportunity because I was doing Bleav and Bears at the Bleav Podcast Network. I was able to get the all 22. Now, look, I'm not an expert, okay? I'm not trying to like go in there and figure out what is right and what is wrong. But you're just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out the how and the why. I'm trying to make observations from at least a journalistic perspective. And if you watch it, Darnell Mooney had at least 6 touchdowns taken away because our quarterback either didn't see him or could not get him the ball. There were countless moments of him absolutely toasting and roasting opposing cornerbacks, and either the ball was overthrown, underthrown, or wasn't even seen at all. So for people that are trying to dive deep into the stats, I think that's why there's a lot of buzz about Darnell Mooney right now. He's a little bit slight. I want to make sure that he stays healthy all the year, so I don't know if I'm giving him the biggest bump up from a fantasy perspective, but the dude can straight ball. He's a really good player. He's a great compliment for Allen Robinson. And I think with Justin Fields, eventually when he does get on the playing field, I think it's going to get really, really interesting. And I like Darnell Mooney a lot.
All right, we'll see. I never heard of this guy, but he's getting a lot of fantasy buzz, and you love him. And I'll wait till he makes an actual few plays in the league.
You're watching too much Scott Hansen. That's the problem.
Yeah, because Scott Hansen knows this guy can't play either. All right, one other quick one from me, and then you can throw a couple Lions things my way if you want. The Chicago O-line. I mean, you guys drafted a kid. You think you got some people up there now. You've been known as more Swiss cheese than they got up in Green Bay, in my opinion, up front. What's this O-line going to be in 2021? You got to figure it out, or are they still going to be an absolute tire fire?
I don't think they're going to be I think they're ranked the 28th offensive line in the NFL. I don't think they're going to be like that. I don't necessarily think they're going to be top 10 either, but I think the arrow is going to be pointing up this year. Big reason for that is Tevin Jenkins, as you mentioned, was a top 20 projected pick. And if you remember on our own mock draft here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, he was drafted in the top 20. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got him at number 39 in the second round. In terms of our guard play, we lost James Daniels, our second-round pick, to a pectoral injury last year. They had high hopes for him. He graded out super well the year that he was healthy. He's back at guard. They had to move Cody Whitehair all over the place. He's kind of the linchpin, the guy that's returning. And then in terms of our center, Sam Mustipher, what you really noticed if you dive into the stats, everyone thinks we had a bad offensive line last year, but the last 5 weeks of the season, who was the number one running back in the NFL in fantasy? It was David Montgomery. Why? Because we completely changed out our offensive line. We brought new guys in. We switched Jermaine Ifedi out to right tackle, who's going to be starting the year there next year. So now those guys that had success to finish up the year last year are now going to get a full run this year. Hopefully a little bit more continuity, hopefully a little bit more talent, and obviously hopefully a little bit more production.
All right, you brought the thunder. While you were doing so, I pulled it up on the old Google machine. Scott Hansen signs a new contract as of early July here for NFL Red Zone. What's Siciliano doing? Has he got a new deal? I mean, he's got the best ears in the business, I'll tell you that. So you got any Lion stuff for me before we get out of here or no?
Lion stuff. We talk a lot about the offense. I mean, can we ask you about the defense, my friend? I know you're going to throw it's going to improve line, but are there any specific areas that you think this unit can actually get better at? Because, I mean, look, man, that just wasn't a very good defense last year.
Joey, do you think I got something for the defense? Of course I got something for the defense.
Drink it in, man.
Joey, I know you in Chicago. You don't know much about having a bunch of guys up front. You paid a guy like $25-30 million that has been underperforming for you for a couple years. The Detroit Lions got some young, hungry dogs up front, and that starts with Flowers and Okwara, but that works its all the way down to our young cats, Big Denham, Levi Onwuzurike, Aleem McNeil in the middle, as well as a bunch of guys on their second or third year that can be hunting quarterbacks this year. And this regime's actually going to say, go get the quarterback and on the way smash a running back or cause other havoc rather than sit there, hold the line of scrimmage and just watch teams pass all over us. Yeah, defense is going to be up fire up front. Mr. Okuda and company are going to be able to cover a little bit better. They're going to be fun to watch, man. Swagger is back in Detroit.
Yeah, and the good news is Mitch Trubisky's out of the division, so you guys actually got a shot now. Ooh, hit the button. Drink it. Drink the Chicago in.
I got a button for you. That's for Mitch. That shot you tried to take at me.
It's because it's true. It hurts because it's true.
And that soundbite goes for the last 2 to 3 years of Detroit Lions defense that I had to deal with. So there you go.
Yeah. And then I guess my next one is, from a fantasy perspective, I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Swift. Where are you on him? And do you think that Dan Campbell and them are going to really commit to him being, they're just going to keep feeding him? Or do you think like Jamal Williams, they're going to try and get kind of a little bit of a timeshare there because they're going to want to run the ball so much?
You bring up, as you call him, Swift. I dubbed him Swizzle a long time ago here on the show. And gosh, I've got this guy in almost all my leagues, and some of my friends are like, "Oh, Oakley, you're always buying in line, always drinking that cool." Yeah, well, that's the name of the show. But I mean, I think this guy's got everything you look for. But if you really look at it, Swizzle and Jay Swaggy, Jamal Williams, they're actually one of the best little 1-2s that you can get, because you can get Williams very cheap. Depends what league you're in on Swift. Some leagues he's going real late. Some people are really high on him, so it kind of just depends. You got to try to find that perfect sweet spot to get him, but I'm just really fired up about the guy. I think it depends on usage, but to me, it's like he's got all the tools, and he's very young. It's his second year, kind of like sky's the limit just based on talent. I mean, we haven't had a a guy this talented since Burry was here. There you go. You heard it. So I'm high on Swift. I think he'd be a great fantasy player. And I think that's a nice combo to get. Cover yourself. I'm not a big handcuff guy when it comes to getting the running back and his backup, but the Detroit backfield's a nice one to have, I think, this year.
And here is my final one. Now, easy, Detroit fans. This one might hurt a little bit.
Oh. When
do you guys win your first game? Here's your slate. You play the 49ers, you play the Packers, you play the Ravens, Ravens, Bears, Vikings, Bengals. When do you guys win your first game?
Oh, Joey, you acted like that was either going to be a tough question or like, hey, brace yourselves, everybody, for some big losing streak. I mean, Joey, here's a recap of week 1.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
We're going to put it on the San Francisco 49ers opening day at Ford Field.
Drink it in, man.
That's going to be an upset W. The NFL is going to be like, what is going on with these Lions? They're flying around. They got skilled players. Jared Goff is throwing the football all over the place.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Oh, it's going to be so good. Have a little cornbread.
Drink it in,
Koolaid.
man.
Lions 1-0 heading into week 2. There you go.
Oh, fair enough. I think that's probably it. That's probably all I got for you.
Joey, it's a fun show. I mean, we got all over the place. As I mentioned in the beginning, we went commercial free today, but we got to get Joey in here. I mean, Bleav Podcast Network. Joey, any other big things you're doing other than all the big things you're doing that you want to let everybody know about?
Well, yeah, first of all, Derek, thank you so much for having me on the PodBean, and all the Detroit listeners out there. Thank you for listening to my Chicago perspectives on this. And I'm really looking forward to a great season and doing more content with you. Just in terms of what's going on with me, it's going to be a crazy month, man. I got a new co-host for Bleav in Bears. I'm super excited about it. A guy that I think that you could probably get on board with, former Chicago Bear Corey Wooten, the man, the myth, the legend who ended Brett Favre's career himself. That's right, is my new co-host for Bleav in Bears. And right now, just gearing up with a bunch of really great guests. We're going to be talking to a lot of Chicago journalists, people that are actually inside the locker room talking to these players. This next month is going to be a lot of fun. I just did a movie podcast about The Rock that's coming out in a couple days on my show, Bet on Chicago. And then, of course, me and Corey Wooten take over in about a week or so on Bleav in Bears. It's going to be really exciting. And then, man, the season begins. The White Sox are going to the playoffs. It's going to be really, really fun in Chicago sports the next couple months.
Oh my goodness, you are turning into a legit journalist, yet when you come here on the show, I'm always like, hey, let's hit the record button and have a little fun. I think we did that on this show. Everybody, you got to go check out all the other great things Joey is doing, especially that Rock podcast. That sounds, I can smell what you're cooking there, no doubt about it. And yeah, you say it's going to be great in Chicago. I mean, as I said earlier, Cade Cunningham's coming to the D. Stevie Eiserman just had a hell of a draft and is putting together a great hockey team. And the Detroit Lions are on the come up, ready to roar. There's new billboards everywhere, driven by Detroit. Well, driven by Dan freaking Campbell, Brad Holmes, Jared Goff, Swizzle, Hawkinson, and that defense. Let's get it. Let's drink that Detroit Kool-Aid, everybody.
Drink it in, man.
And we'll catch you next week. Oh, we'll catch you Friday. Me, Joey, Detroit versus Chicago. We'll see what happens. Everybody, take care. We'll catch you then. We're out.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.